Well, it has finally happened. Games Workshop have finally gone too far. Pretty brave of them to do so, considering we're just fresh off a month where Wizards of the Coast had to yield to their fan base and completely reverse an unpopular decision. But Games Workshop are made of sterner stuff, it seems. They are the metal to the Finecast. But I think that there is actually a reason for the changes that Games Workshop is making. One that might be incredibly controversial to say, but it might also fundamentally change how you view the Warhammer that Games Workshop are trying to cultivate. So what have they done this time? Well, they're raising the price of Warhammer by a lot. A lot more than they said in their article announcing the very price rise. It's an unaffordable amount for most people, in fact. According to their recent announcement on this, it's a 6% increase in price across the board on all plastic miniatures, resin miniatures, Forge World brushes, and spray paints. Basically everything that isn't a book. It's basically everything that everybody needs. Boy, I wish I could just declare that my wage should get a 6% increase. That would be swell. But here's the thing, Games Workshop are lying. Their prices are actually going up even more than 6%. See, when they say a 6% price rise, they actually mean a 6% average price rise in the UK. Oh no, Americans, Australians, New Zealanders, people in mainland Europe, the rest of the world, Tasmania, you are going to get hit even worse. And thanks to a leaked pricing sheet sent out to retailers in America, we can see just how bad it's going to be. An average 6% price rise is obscuring the fact that all the most important, the most frequent purchases by wargamers are going up by far, far more. Mainline troops, tanks, vehicles, combat patrols, and character models. Basically all the things you actually care about. All your staple boxes for Warhammer, the things that most people will have to buy again and again if they want to actually, do the Warhammer thing, are going up an extreme amount. So, okay, let's talk specifics. For example, before the 6th of March, which is when this price rise will hit, if you were to purchase a combat patrol, which is a bundle of units that most people tend to pick up when they're building an army, that would set you back $150. Already quite a lot of money for a box set that tends to comprise of around 18 to 30 cheap plastic miniatures. After the 6th of March, however, that exact same box will cost you $160. So that's actually closer to a 7% increase in price, but okay, sure, that's not too far from the 6% price rise that they promised. But elsewhere in the product range, things are starting to go up really, really drastically. So pour one out for the Drukhari folks, because they have multiple model kits going up 18.5% in price. Both witches and Kabbalite warriors, the main infantry of the Dark Eldar faction, they are going from $38 to $45. Tyranids are joining them up there with an 18.5% price rise on tons of their models too. But those factions aren't alone. The entire Eldari, Space Marines, Necrons, Orc ranges, basically every single other 40k army are all going up a crazy 9% in price. And that's almost the entire 40k plastic range. Space Marine upgrade kits are all going up by a full 9% as well. All the strike forces are up 9.5%. Age of Sigmar isn't immune. Age of Sigmar plastic like Sylvaneth Dryads up 10%. Night Gaunt up 11%. And start collecting sets for Age of Sigmar up a 15%. Good luck starting collecting now. But hey, there's a bunch of stuff here that isn't going up in price. Things that are contributing to the 6% average increase. Like, the Warhammer wound counters and, some data cards. Basically, the entire vast majority of staple plastic kits are going up though, way, way up. And this is for America. God only knows what the Australians are gonna get hit with, because obviously that country doesn't have it bad enough since those kangaroos got their hands on a shipment of boxing gloves. And the actual scope of the changes are impossible to fully go through here individually, but this has really worried retailers. Every single one that has spoken to me about this is absolutely terrified that this is the final straw for Warhammer. They think Games Workshop are miscalculating the market, and most hobbyists just won't be able to afford this in a time of ever-increasing prices for staples and a stagnation of wages among most consumers. But actually, I think those retailers are wrong. I think Games Workshop know exactly what they're doing and that this is in fact going to work. And I mentioned before that this is a pretty controversial opinion, but I really do believe that this might change how people perceive the Warhammer community that Games Workshop is trying to create. But first, I want to talk about a company who actually respects their customers, which is why I'm so happy that today's video is sponsored by Blacksite Studios, one of my favorite war game companies, who are currently crowdfunding one of the coolest games I have ever seen. This is Hamitsu, a solo/co-op monster hunting game set in a post-apocalyptic feudal Japan. Players take on the role of hunters, choosing from 9 different classes and going toe-to-toe with monstrous Oni, leveling up, gaining new abilities, and equipping ancient artifacts. It looks so cool. And a particularly exciting part of this is that it comes with its very own narrative campaign. It supports solo play, it supports co-op play, so if you've got a partner, this might be the gateway game to get them into it. And you know me, guys, I love a good solo game. There's nothing I prefer to do than play with myself. Wait, hold on. This game is currently available to pre-order on the Blacksite Studio Backroom event, so click the link in the description below to check it out and pick it up. And Blacksite Studios' sponsorship of today's video is particularly apropos because they don't use Kickstarter. They demonstrate that FOMO isn't necessary. However, they still get all the benefits of crowdfunding. Blacksite Studios are crowdfunding Hamitsu through a backroom event. This has all the benefits of Kickstarter. It has special tiers, bonus items, discount prices, and even provides a platform to independent creators. However, all their content is available to buy afterwards after the pre-orders have been fulfilled. How awesome is that? I've supported them for a really long time. They are an awesome company and they deserve your support as well. Thanks for sponsoring today's video, Blacksite Studios. They're the exact type of company that I love to support and we need more of in the wargaming space. In contrast, it seems to me, the Games Workshop don't really care about 80% of their audience. Basically the mass group of people that will definitely be scared off by an 18% price increase to the core product. But that's fine for GW, even if it does terrify retail stores, because what we're witnessing right now is the inevitable conclusion of the existing Games Workshop business model. A business model that is delightfully defended every day by people who use the words premium or luxury and more boot please when talking about playing with cheap plastic toys. And it's simple. You see, Games Workshop don't want us anymore. We casual Warhammer players have served our purpose. If you are someone that just wants to buy the occasional Warhammer model to paint, or have a small force that you're adding to as you play games casually with, or have an interest in the lore of the game but haven't quite bought into the tabletop experience yet, well, why bother? Games Workshop don't want your business. They aren't interested in a widely adopted, accessible product. No, Games Workshop's business model is to monetize compulsive spenders who just can't help but buy more products regardless of price. Sorry, I meant to say price-insensitive consumers. They want children and new players who don't know better, but who will eventually drop out of the game after they realize just how expensive it is to keep up. They want competitive players who will buy into the Warhammer seasons every few months and pick up half a dozen army boxes of the latest army to be released every single year in order to stay competitive. They want problem spenders who are trapped in a sunk cost hell, because hey, they've spent thousands of dollars on these models, so they couldn't possibly ever admit to themselves that it wasn't potentially worth it. That is the demographic of people that Games Workshop want to monetize. That is Games Workshop's preferable base of customers. Games Workshop have always thought of Warhammer as a game for, as they like to put it, a discerning niche, or as modern business strategies refer to them, wheels. And that's why GW are not worried about killing the market of casual and semi-casual wargamers with price rises. It's time for us all to admit it. It's time for us all to simply accept the evidence of our eyes. Wheels are Games Workshop's target audience. Those people who will continue to pay ever-increasing prices for dwindling amounts of models. And we can tell because this price increase is coming, and it is coming at a time when Games Workshop profits are at an all-time high. They aren't threatened by anything. Games Workshop aren't looking to go bust anytime soon. There's some problems long-term on the horizon, sure, but basically every single annual report from GW over the last few years has been a victory lap. As Kevin Roundtree, CEO of Games Workshop, has described it to shareholders, Games Workshop have experienced outstanding financial results. So outstanding, in fact, that in 2022, Games Workshop increased dividends for shareholders from £32.8 million to £54.2 million, which is a 60% increase in money paid out to investors. So think about that next time somebody says that GW had no choice but to raise prices. It definitely sounds like they're on lean times. The price of electricity is definitely their major concern. You want to know lean times? Ad revenue in January on YouTube. Of course, Games Workshop don't talk about those outstanding financial results when talking to players, though. Oh no. Suddenly it's all about how things are really tough right now, actually. Oh, we're sorry. Everything is bad these days, isn't it? Well, we're not immune. We gotta raise prices, sorry. No, actually, you basically are immune. Warhammer has a margin of almost 33% in a world where 10 to 15% is considered amazing. Do they not know what that means? Games Workshop has plenty of buffer, plenty of space to absorb additional unforeseen costs. In theory, because they've never actually absorbed those costs, really. Not even when times are good. They're blaming COVID and Brexit and the Ukraine war for this price rise. But even before all those things, Games Workshop still raised their price year on year. It didn't matter. It has never mattered. Is inflation low or high? Transport costs up or down? Is Games Workshop making money or not? It doesn't matter. Prices go up, and it's not proportional with inflation either, as you can see on the screen. It's just inevitable. Every single year, the price goes up, squeezing more and more, searching for those wheels that will just keep paying. And of course, that's the price rise they actually bothered to tell us about. They actually engage in all sorts of stealth price increases every single year. For example, in 2006, a year that does not feel that long ago, but I know it was, 20 Gideon Guardsmen used to cost 18 British pounds. A price which I thought almost unaffordable at that time. In fact, I actually worked an illegal job in order to afford Warhammer in 2006. In contrast, the newest Gideon Guardsman kit now costs £30. And if you take into account inflation, then that £18 in 2006 is equal to about £33 today. And so, with inflation, the Imperial Guardsmen have gone down in price, right? Isn't that great? And that's where most analysis of this subject ends, where most people say Warhammer isn't that expensive, at least not compared to other luxury hobbies like yachting. Except for the fact that in 2006, you got 20 models in a box, whereas today you only get 10. So in reality, if you want an Imperial Guard army, then you're paying double what you would have paid in 2006. And that's before the latest price rise. On top of that, Games Workshop have been incredibly innovative recently when it comes to devising ways of getting wargamers to part with increasingly more of their cash. Remember, model kits go up in price outside of these scheduled price rises every single time the Games Workshop update them. We have seen Orcs, Genestealer Cultists, Eldari, Imperial Guard plastic kits, more. All of their ranges have shot up in price in the last 2 years as a result of model range refreshes. Imperial Guard kits have gone from $35 for 10 earlier this year to $50 for 10 now, all because Games Workshop are just that eager to pay off the near inconsequential costs of their new molds. On top of that, there has been an increasing focus on bundling that encourages consumers to buy way more Warhammer all at once, and the fact that I personally know more and more people who tell me that they cannot afford to play anymore, and the future really is looking grimmer and darker. Now bring on that Age of War already, goddammit! We gotta take these techno-barbarians down! This is not something that we can vote on with our wallets. Games Workshop are trying to get to the stage where only 0.15% of players will pay for 50% of the revenue of the game, just like in mobile games. Games Workshop are just trying to hook their wheels.
Think about how you want to get to your millions. Do you go the king route of having a huge volume of players and a fairly modest lifetime value for each spender? Or do you go the Machine Zone route of having a very hardcore game that like 95% of the population is going to look like, what is that? But the 5% that actually do play it, they will spend a lot.
And as for the existing players who can't afford to keep up, well, they don't matter. They never have. Existing players have already spent their money, or they're hooked on the game, or no one around them plays another game. So what are they gonna do? Play Wild West Exodus? It doesn't matter if existing players drop out or get mad, because Games Workshop have already monetized these consumers. If you keep paying, then great. If you don't, then no big loss to them. You were never their type of customer anyway. Being a Warhammer player is like being trapped in a small room while the water rises all around us. There are shorter people beside me who can no longer reach their head up above the water, and now they're drowning. I can feel the water lapping around my chin, and I know I'm next. There's a slightly taller fella next to me, insisting that the water will stop rising any day now. Well, I don't believe him. We will all drown. It's just going to get us at different rates. The core demographic of Warhammer is now wheels, and eventually this business model will implode on Games Workshop because the rise of 3D printers will eventually kill their ability to rely on those types of big spenders. So maybe in the meantime, try some other games, folk. Maybe buy from some other companies because they're out there. In fact, I've partnered with Surrogate Miniatures this month, who do some incredibly awesome Space Elves and Space Custodians. Discourse Minis patrons get 50% off that entire store, so help me fight against corporate greed and support this type of content. Check out patreon.com/Discourse Miniatures. And a huge thanks to Sonic Bread, Crypto Kev, and John Smith, and to all my patrons. And as always, I'll catch you next time. Games Workshop, the Linda asked.